Good afternoon. The Public Safety Committee will now come to order. Madam Clerk, roll.
Alderman Oldenburg,
Present.
Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard,
Here.
Alderwoman Sanye, Alderwoman Velasquez, Vice Chair Aldrich,
Present.
Chair Narayan,
Here.
Alderwoman Sanye, Alderwoman Velasquez. We have 4 present. We have quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. With that, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of Thursday, October 2nd, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Actually, let's hold for just a moment. I'm hearing that there's some technical difficulties.
Okay. Good now. I'm not sure if we need to start over because they just started. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect. Thank you. All right. With that, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of Thursday, October 2nd, 2025. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Oldenburg,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanye, Alderwoman Velasquez, Vice Chair Aldrich,
Aye.
Chair Narayan,
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanye, Alderwoman Velasquez. We have 4 aye votes.
With that, we've sustained the motion to approve the minutes of Thursday, October 2nd, 2025, and we'll move on to board bills for review. We have Board Bill number 62 before us. Alderman Devotie, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair, members of the committee. Today, of course, we are here to talk about Board Bill 62 with respect to golf carts. I want to point out that essentially what this board bill attempts to do is 2 things. The first is legalize or legitimize the operation of golf carts on city streets. The second thing is, once we do that, put in place some common sense regulations with respect to both operation as well as basic equipment. I'm coming to you today wearing essentially 3 hats. The first is, of course, as 5th Ward Alderman. I am also coming to you as a resident of the Hill, and I'm speaking to you with 26 plus years of experience as an injury lawyer, having handled cases where folks are injured while operating motorized vehicles of some type. I put together this bill essentially with that background. I am a fan of golf carts. Anybody who lives on the Hill, lives in Benton Park, Soulard, St. Louis Hills, realizes the benefit that these vehicles provide to our communities. They are easy, quick, efficient ways to get around. They take motor vehicles off the road, and they're fun, frankly. I think they are a positive thing to have in the city. So that is what prompted this. From my hat as an injury lawyer, I will tell you that one of my concerns, something that I've seen in my practice, is because city ordinance has not legitimized their use, is that right now, if there is a crash and the golf cart operator bears little to any fault, their presence of being on a city street, in other words, a place they are not permitted to be in, puts them at serious disadvantage. That's what first caught my eye about. But I'm talking to you also as a Hill resident, someone who lives in a very walkable neighborhood where we have these around all over the place. You know, 25 years ago, when I moved into St. Louis Hills, golf cart use was unheard of. When I moved into the Hill neighborhood 10 years ago, golf carts were more than a novelty, but we were seeing more and more. Today, in those neighborhoods, in certain neighborhoods in the city of St. Louis, they're everywhere. Having said that, beyond not being legitimate right now, we have no rules of the road. There is nothing to direct or guide folks on the minimum demands of operating on city streets, and that's also what this legislation does. I'm talking to you today about Board Bill 62. You also saw that I filed three amendments that I would ask this committee also approve. Those three amendments were proposed after committee discussion, not committee discussion, community discussion. After participating in town halls, speaking to neighborhood groups, meeting with neighbors, reading emails, handling phone calls, all of those kinds of things. And what I think these three amendments do is they really, truly make a complete bill. Amendment 1, of course, talks about use of golf carts in city parks. Amendment 2 talks about where carts can operate. Amendment 3 addresses an issue with respect to an original demand in the board bill that talks about seatbelts, and rather we pulled back from that demand, and now we address child restraint systems, which goes again to my want here to make sure that all passengers' vehicles are safe, including our children on city streets. So again, that's the overview. I appreciate your consideration and following your questions and hearing from the community. I am going to ask for a passage out of this committee and a due pass regulation to the board as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'll open it up to questions from the committee. Alderman Oldenburg.
I don't have any questions. I caught up with the alderman yesterday, and I appreciate the conversation we had there. But I don't know if you want to have a broader conversation on the bill or start to adopt amendments first, just as a way of housekeeping, Mr. Chair.
We can do however the sponsor would prefer.
Well, if that's the case, then I would request then that we take up each individual amendment for the purpose of amending this bill to talk about it in its entirety.
All right. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to adopt amendment number 1 to board bill number 6.
Second.
Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Oldenburg,
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard,
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanier,
Aye.
Alderwoman Velasquez, Vice Chair Aldrich,
Aye.
Chair Narayan,
Aye.
Alderwoman Velasquez. We have 5 aye votes.
All right. With that, we've sustained the motion and adopted amendment number 1 to board bill number 62 as amended. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to adopt amendment number 2 to board bill number 62 as amended.
Aye. So moved.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right.
Previous row.
There's been a request for previous roll. Hearing no objections, we've adopted amendment number 2 to board bill number 62 as amended. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to adopt amendment number 3 to board bill number 62 as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Previous row.
Hearing no objection to previous roll, we've adopted amendment number 3 to board bill number 62 as amended. So now we have the board bill with all 3 amendments in front of us. And so I'll move over to Alderman Oldenburg. Did you have anything further?
I did. Now I was hoping I could ask some questions now because I think we have the bill in its entirety. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alderman, thank you again for bringing this forward. I think overall your amendments have made this bill better. as an individual who and an alderman who represents a community and a neighborhood, both Princeton Heights and but largely St. Louis Hills that does utilize a good amount of golf carts. I would agree with you that they provide a certain culture, a certain fun, a certain amount of entertainment, a certain neighborhood way of life that exists with the use of golf carts. It creates fellowship, neighborhood gatherings. All those things are positive. Um, the concerns that I do get from a lot of constituents are around safety, and your bill does that. Your bill does just that. Not only does it legitimize and say golf carts are now technically legal in the city of St. Louis, and we welcome that, but additionally, I think it makes the necessary changes to make sure that they're safe. The last thing I think any parent or any member of the community wants to see is a 12 or 13-year-old driving a golf cart with a bunch of friends hanging off it. That's sort of a recipe for disaster. I do need to ask a couple of questions, Alderman, just because a fair amount of my constituents who are golf cart owners wanted me to do so. One question I did get is, there's 995 things that the city should focus on, and police are already stretched with their resources. Why should this be a matter of importance or urgency?
Well, I think that's an excellent question. And by way of illustration, I will point out that within the last 12 months, there have been 11 children in the city of St. Louis that we have been able to track down that have been treated at Cardinal Glennon Hospital, such that their injuries were severe enough that that their cases were registered within the National Trauma Registry. So that is data from one local hospital over the last 12 months, talking about how this is a potential public safety risk, at least as we currently handle things in the city of St. Louis, which is we don't. I think to the other extent of, and if your question would be, Matt, do you have any other follow-up data on that? That was data from one hospital, again, Cardinal Glennon. We were unable to obtain data from any others. And again, that is because of their unregulated nature in the city. Whether crashes happen on or about a golf cart is something simply typically not tracked. So it's data that at this point in time is very difficult to get a hold of. But we know of those. We know of those 11 instances. I would think too that with respect to this particular subject, that again, while years ago, Alderman, this use of golf carts in certain neighborhoods were novelties, today they are not. Today they are all over certain neighborhoods. And they are not just around our neighborhoods or maybe in our parks, but they're on our city streets. They are mixing and going between our motorized vehicles, which we also do regulate. And they're not just on roadways with certain mile per hour, like 25 or less, or 2-lane 30-mile-per-hour roadways, but they're on major arterials. It doesn't take a whole lot of driving around South St. Louis to see these on South Kings Highway, Hampton Avenue, Chippewa Street. They are over. And so that's why this, I believe, demands our attention today. Is it one of those 995 issues? It is. And if we can prevent another injury while providing direction and guidance to our constituents on how they should operate, where they should operate these, I think that's a good thing.
Thank you, Alderman. I don't have any further questions, but I will note for the committee that I did reach out to a few folks at SLMPD and mentioned this bill. They certainly welcome having ordinances on the books that try to keep people safe. And I think the reaction from them is also, look, they're professional safety experts and crime fighters. They know how to prioritize issues. So if they see reckless driving, whether it's someone in an automobile, on a bicycle, or in a golf cart, they're going to engage and try to keep people safe. So I do appreciate that answer, Alderman, and I have nothing further.
All right, with that, we'll move to Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you, Alderman Bodie, for not only bringing this forward now, but the continued conversation that you've had, the amendments that you've made. I think I've shared with you that, in the 10th Ward right now, this is not high priority. While some may have luxury to make this their issue today, many of the constituents in the 10th Ward are dealing with tornado recovery, day-to-day quality of life needs. And, I value the input that I've gotten from good friends like Joe from Joe's Carts. I actually called him again today because I'm a golf cart owner. And I purchased my golf cart from Joe for my campaign when I ran. And now it's used not only to canvass the neighborhood and help, but also I lend it out for many community events. And so it's absolutely an amenity that I don't take for granted, the safety that is attached to that, and being responsible as you operate golf carts, especially as a mother and a grandmother, that you kind of hit my heart with those numbers about children, because I haven't witnessed that, but I understand, and that definitely is a factor. Now, for me, it really came down to, and thank you for providing this, City Councilor's office opinion, and the bottom line is that the city has not adopted any ordinance allowing for the operation of golf carts within the city streets. So in that sense, many of us are out of order right now. So again, while I mentioned it before, this wasn't on the radar of myself as it relates to how I'm trying to represent and fill the gap and needs of my residents in the 10th Ward and what they're going through, but I do know that what it means to many others and across this entire city. And again, I thank you for your work. Thank you, Dora, for always answering the questions and making sure that we have all the information that we need. And I am looking forward now to hearing from the public and the rest of my colleagues.
Alderwoman, thank you for your comments. I would say is I hope you know how much I am aware of some of the issues that are faced in the 10th Ward and elsewhere.
Yes.
And it's my belief that we can do more things than
Absolutely.
At a time. And the concerns and the needs of your constituents also are on my mind. So please know that.
Thank you so much.
All right, with that, we'll move to Alderwoman Saunier.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Alderman, for bringing this legislation forward. I have learned a lot more about how our residents feel about golf carts thanks to this bill, and I feel like I've seen more of them since you filed this bill. I just wanted to ask just a couple of clarifying questions, just so that everything is clear on the record and there's no misinformation. Could you maybe just speak to some of the basic safety provisions that are within the bill?
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. They are split up into both equipment as well as operational aspects. From an equipment standpoint, we are talking about things like headlamps, tail lamps, brake lights, also adequate brakes. Again, these are being operated on the roadway. A parking brake, and as the bill is, we also have turn signals. And then mirrors. So think in terms of the mirrors that are both required on the driver's side of the cart, and then there's an option to have one in the center so you can see behind you, or on the right side. Again, so that as you're driving on a street, you have the equipment to help you operate the cart safely. From an operational standpoint, there is requirements of a valid driver's license. The notion being that an operator has convinced the state of Missouri that they know the basic rules of the road. There is a requirement to yield the right-of-way to pedestrians and bicyclists, to comply with the distracted driving regulations of the bending hands-free law, meaning that you are focused on the primary task of driving the golf cart while you're roadway. And then also that you are signaling before overtaking, making a turn, that kind of thing. Importantly, with the passage of the amendment, what we also have is not a requirement that individuals over the age of 18, whether a driver or a passenger, wear a seatbelt. But what we do have is that minors, that children be within a child restraint system. So think of the toddler or the 60-year-old that would be transported. They would need to be restrained under the version of the bill, under our version of the bill as amended. I think the last thing, and I do think this is very important, is we talk about where the cart can operate. The cart can essentially operate in two different places: on any roadway in the city of St. Louis with a speed limit of 25 miles per hour or less, and on a roadway of 30 miles per hour, so long as that road isn't subdivided more than twice. So that, I believe, is a fairly detailed synopsis of the safety functions.
Thank you. And my last question is just how you see enforcement going. That's probably the question that I've seen the most in my email from folks.
That question with respect to enforcement is one that I have been asked at every town hall, every neighborhood meeting, every conversation on the sidewalk. Certainly, I don't see the police department setting up a stop, to catch golf cart drivers as they're leaving Francis Park, right, or Barra Park on the hill. What I do expect, and with my conversations with the officers I have talked with, is that these regulations will be enforced as they are noted to have happened. So we're not going to actively look for golf cart violations, but again, while we have officers that are out and about and patrolling, there is now no doubt what is required of operators in the city of St. Louis, and they will enforce.
Thank you. Those are all my questions, Chairman.
All right. With that, we'll move to Vice Chair Eldred.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Good afternoon, Alderman Devotie.
Good afternoon.
Thank you also for bringing this forward. I think what people don't understand right now, I think that you brought up, is that technically there is no ordinance on the books for golf carts. So if I'm hearing you right, you're not trying to ban golf carts. If anything, you're giving them an option to operate in the city of St. Louis with safety measures and security measures in place. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. We are legitimizing, we are legalizing golf cart use on city streets.
Gotcha. This has been an interesting conversation to follow, like the all one from the 10th. And the 14th, we got 99 problems, and I can tell you golf carts isn't one. Between golf carts and data centers, the conversations have really been educational at the Board of Aldermen on these topics. I think what you're doing, at least it sounds like for your neighborhood, maybe the 2nd Ward, maybe the 8th Ward, Soulard, all women from the 8th, is trying to put some safe measures and guards in place for golf carts. I do just got 2 quick questions, maybe a question and a comment. Under the violation, Section 4, I read the first offense is $100 if someone were to violate any of these criteria that are in the bill. And then the second offense is $250 if they did that again within 30 days, if they, didn't have their child in a seatbelt within 30 days. And then the third one is $500 within 12 months of violating again. I'm just curious of how did you come up with the penalties of $100, $250, and then $500?
So what we did is we looked at a number of different things. Looked at both city ordinance with respect to traffic violations. We also looked at neighboring municipalities, other local governments that have authorized the use of golf carts. And it was through analysis and review of that data that we put together this particular item. You will notice, and actually you pointed it out, that the second violation, we go up to 250, or not more than 250 if occurring within 30 days. I truly think that this is the kind of legislation that, when made public and folks are educated, people will take serious and they will adapt, and we will not be seeing this. But yes, I mean, part of the idea here is of course to get somebody's attention.
Yeah, and to that, I will say one of my small concerns, not a major concern, is the education piece. So, you know, people that are riding golf carts, I think you said on some streets it's 25, some streets it's 35. You know, how are they going to know, you know, that now I'm on a street that I shouldn't be riding on, or should? The two-lane thing, you know, confused me a little bit. But, you know, I just think of, you know, hopefully that there's some flexibility if, you know, one of these golf carts find themselves in the wrong street and shouldn't be riding on it, that, you know, it doesn't become hopefully it's a warning. And I know you don't have the discretion to do that. That'll be up to the law enforcement officers. But hopefully that education of people knowing, I don't know if we're going to have to get new signs that says golf cart here, golf cart not here, but the education part will be, I think, critical moving forward. I don't know if you want this.
Alderman, one of the things that I have learned in the last 6 to 8 weeks is how tight our golf cart community is in St. Louis. I knew how tight we were in the Hill neighborhood, in Southampton. I had no idea how tight the network is across, frankly, the city. I have heard wide and long from folks all over the place. The community is amazing in the way it spreads the word about this. So I hear your concern, but I think this is one, and what I now know is that golf cart sellers also do a terrific job of getting information out. So I agree, education is important. I think we can accomplish that here.
Yeah. And then my last thought, that I will say, one thing I appreciate about the alderman from the 5th, which is yourself, is during this process of this golf cart debate, since he's filed the bill, I know you've been very open with committee members and reaching out and not only educating, but letting us know why this is a problem, especially in the ward that you represent. And why we need to regulate, but also make them legal. So, you know, even the amendments you provided this committee, which a lot of people don't know, provided this committee with ample amount of time to be able to read it, but also ask questions. One thing that just popped in my head that I'm curious about is, what does that, and I don't see in the bill, I know the police department has a golf cart. So would they have to abide by the same regulations, or would we maybe need an amendment on the floor to exclude first responders?
I would think that not only would our police department need to comply, but also our sheriff's department, who we know owns 4 golf carts.
Oh, I forgot they did. You asked them about that, right?
Correct, yes. So my thought would be is that whether it is a city agency or a state agency, as you referenced the city police department, is that everybody would comply with this particular ordinance.
Got it. So no carve out. They would all need to have seatbelts on their golf cart, can't drive in the parks.
Actually, what we did here, remember, is one of the amendments we made was to take out the seatbelt requirement. And in its place, we have a requirement with respect to child restraint systems. So seatbelt issue is off the table. The bill as amended has no requirement.
Blinkers is one of the requirements.
Blinkers are a requirement.
Okay. Well, the sheriff and the police department has some upgrades to do to those golf carts.
Certainly the sheriff does.
I think the police too, but nor here nor there. I appreciate your work, Alderman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Just a question. I don't know if you know the answer to it or not, but if this bill seeks to legitimize golf carts to allow them on the road, what's the current penalty for operating a golf cart? I mean, it's I guess, unregulated.
I think that's a fascinating question. That's a question that when I've asked my friends who do criminal defense work, as well as who certain attorney's office here, I get looks of blankness. And I think that's one of our issues here. We've got folks, whether they're criminal defense lawyers or prosecutors, folks in private practice, that are starting to see these issues. And I think that's all the more reason that this legislation is needed. Because you ask that question of folks that do this every day, and you get blank looks.
And so I appreciate that. So in your, I guess, ongoing practice as a personal injury attorney, would you have concerns if your client was injured through no fault of their own while operating a golf cart on the street, that they would be able to recover?
I would. And we here in Missouri have something called comparative fault, where fault between parties is compared. In the example you gave, where otherwise my client was not otherwise at fault, meaning they stopped at stop sign, they obeyed an electric signal, they signaled, they kept a careful lookout, but they're involved in a crash. My concern would be, and the counsel I have gave to folks is, under the current law in the city of St. Louis, you're in a spot that you shouldn't be in. So would there be liability? Yes, that would not take away the liability of the defendant driver. But what it does is it makes a injured golf cart driver, passenger, it takes them from a position of no fault to a position now of trying to defend being in a place that the law says they should not be in. That's a major problem. Yes, sir.
Understood. Thank you for that. And then lastly, you said you've had ongoing conversations with the golf cart community, I guess I'll say. Do you have any concept of the cost associated with coming into compliance with these regulations?
I don't off the top of my head. My understanding when I met with folks is the biggest concern had to do with seat belts. You might remember that I referenced the CFR with respect to particular kind of seat belts, both with respect to the purchase and their installation. My understanding is that was a major undertaking from a financial standpoint. What I am told is that installation of things like mirrors is not. And then today, most carts sold today by a dealer have the other items. Perhaps not the signals, but they have the other items.
Yeah, the signals is the one that I've heard, I guess, the most feedback about, second only to the seat belts.
Yes.
Is the additional expense of adding the signals, and I'm just trying to get a gauge on what that expense actually is.
I don't have an answer to that question. I'm sorry, sir.
I'm sure one of these fine folks will tell me momentarily.
Could tell us, yes.
If we hear that it is exorbitantly expensive, would you be open to removing that requirement, keeping the rest?
With respect to signals?
Yes.
No, sir.
Okay.
And for the reason of, let me explain, it would be also requiring adherence to other federal, state, local law, which would then require folks to hand signal as we might do when we're riding a bicycle.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all I have at this point, unless anyone else has any questions. Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Alderman Devotie, just for the record and for public, I know we adopted the amendments, but there was one amendment that specifically spoke to Forest Park. Can you just share that for public context, what that one was, and also what this calls for in our public parks, our other 109 public parks in addition to Forest Park?
Absolutely, I'm happy to do that. So this particular amendment came about after being contacted by the Parks Department. What Amendment 1 does is it directs that operators shall not operate the golf cart within any public park except Forest Park. And then with respect to Forest Park, on the roadways, so in the streets, as well as, of course, on golf courses. What this provision also does is state that it provides power, the authority to the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry to designate other public parks where they may be operated. My thought here, after speaking with Parks Department, is what we didn't want to do is start ticking off parks. Of course, Forest Park is the jewel of our Parks Department. We have golf courses there. That's why it is identified. But then on an inappropriate basis, then the director can identify or designate where they may be used.
Thank you.
Just a quick question there. Did you ensure, I'm just trying to go through this, did you ensure that golf carts operated on golf courses aren't going to need to meet all these requirements? I mean, I don't think you need turn signals on the golf course.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Correct.
Alderman Aldridge?
Thank you, Alderman. On top of Forest Park, so I know it's kind of weird with the city, like we don't, own Forest Park, but there's like an agreement similar like that with Tower Grove Park, where we don't do maintenance or anything in Tower Grove Park. So since we don't have, I guess, did you think about Tower Grove Park also knowing that we don't have ownership in Tower Grove Park like the other parks? I'm just...
Absolutely. We thought of a number, and then the thought was, how do we best go about this? And again, one of the things we could have done, started making a laundry list of every park to include within Amendment 1. And rather than do that, it was to identify the park where we have golf carts, and then otherwise designate through the director.
Okay.
Did I answer your question?
No, you did. You did.
Okay.
I guess I'm just thinking of Tower Grove. We don't have that authority over there, so they need. I know Forest Park, like you say, they have golf carts there. For Tower Grove is not one of our parks. Would they need to go through? Would it still be acceptable to drive, I guess, a golf cart in Tower Grove Park?
So let's talk then about private use, okay? Operation of a golf cart on a private place. What we're doing through this is we're authorizing the operation of golf carts on public streets, right-of-ways, and thoroughfares. What we're not addressing are private use. So for instance, if you think in terms of the local strip center by you, or your local parish, or that parking lot, this isn't addressing it. But we don't, as a city, need to address a use on private property.
Answer my question. I appreciate y'all.
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense.
I don't see any reason to go there.
I got you. Thank you.
Would you consider a carve-out for areas that have a special events permit? I'm just thinking about how many golf carts are utilized by organizers and first responders for events like St. Patrick's Day, where you have a specified area that people are kind of zipping around in.
My thought is we would handle that as we handle all permitting in the city. This last week, we had Italian Heritage Day on the Hill. We had a parade. We had wrong-way traffic on 3 one-way streets during the parade. That was part of the parade permitting process. So my thought is we handle the use of golf carts in those special situations no different than we would any other traffic issue, like going the wrong way on a one-way street in a local parade.
Sure, that makes sense to me. Does the committee have anything further? All right, Madam Clerk, do we have any written testimony on this?
We do.
All right, members of the committee, if you want to take note of that written testimony, and then I assume we have speakers signed up as well?
We do.
Okay, if you could please call the first speaker.
I want to make note that all of the written comments are in the Google Drive.
Yes, ma'am.
First person to speak in support is Logan Mandrin.
All right, Mr. Mandrin, do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Hello, everybody. Just want to start off by quickly saying my name is Logan Madron, and based solely on the fact that golf carts are currently illegal and will be illegal if this bill does not pass, that's the reason I'm here. I think that all in all, what we need is a law in the books that provides legal use of golf carts in St. Louis in good and necessary circumstances. My wife and I are St. Louis transplants, and we've fallen in love with the city. If you ask anyone who knows me, they'll tell you I like to talk about two things: my golf cart and our soccer team. We've personally owned many. I've helped friends and family purchase them, build them, customize them to their liking. We actually had a golf cart send off in our Soulard wedding on 10/3/25 this year. Our golf cart took place of one of our cars even. So we are different than a lot of people that use them for just pleasure. We use it as a second form of transportation because it's cheaper than a car. It's nice. That is a cost of entry thing that I think needs to be addressed. Like, he talks about a complete bill. I think I disagree. I think a lot of the community, when you start to talk to them, will also disagree that it's not a complete bill. It's a bill that we need, but it's not a complete bill. When we first moved to Soulard, we were welcomed by an incredible community of golf cart owners and many people who volunteer, like we've talked about, for parades, Mardi Gras. They volunteer, they use their carts for great things. There are people, like we've talked about, in districts and areas like Francis Park who also cause problems. That needs to be addressed. We've since moved to Southampton, but I still use our cart daily, and we still only have one car. Our golf cart is even better. Like I've said many times, it takes the place of a car. It does everything we do. I do have a concern also on the 35 mile per hour rule. Like I've said, I don't think this bill is finished, but that's mainly where I'm here and what I have to say. I emailed all of you earlier today. I'm an open book. If you guys want to talk to me or anything like that, feel free. I'm an open book. Thanks.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, could you call the next speaker?
Next, we have undecided, Lamont Hart.
All right, Mr. Hart, do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, sir.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
I just got a question. What do the Taxi Cab Commission have to do with these golf carts?
I'm sorry?
The Taxi Cab Commission, what do they have to do with golf carts?
I think you'd have to ask the sponsor.
No, because I
don't
done
know.
had 3 tickets, a MTC, a CCN, and another ticket. You know what I'm saying? So here it is, and I live downtown. So when I get off work, that's my source of transportation, from the arcade apartments down to the Soulard or wherever I'm going. You know what I'm saying? But here it is now. I got not for hire on it. Now you got the Taxi Cab Commission telling you can't operate your golf cart without certain that CCN numbers.
I'm unaware of that. I can't really speak to it. I don't know. Alderman Aldridge is indicating that he may know something about it. And Alderman Devotie, do you have any?
I do not, sir.
Okay. So I'm unclear.
We could talk.
Yeah, it sounds like Alderman Aldridge would be happy to discuss it after the meeting, though.
All right.
Mr. Hart, you're in the 14th Ward? Thank you.
Could you call the next speaker, Madam Clerk?
Next, we have Megan Whitehead. In support.
Ms. Whitehead, do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is true to the best of your ability?
I do, thank you.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Thank you.
Ms. Whitehead, before you begin, could you state what ward you're in?
The 5th.
Thank you.
As a golf cart owner in the city, a block captain, and part of our Safety and Security Committee on the Hill, I would like to speak in support of Board Bill 62. I appreciate that Alderman Devotie has met many times with many constituents, sometimes detrimentally to his character, but he rose above all that, and we did bring together golf cart company owners, event companies like Mardi Gras Inc. They've spoken to us. We brought together several of the Golf Cart Association members to all address this. Seatbelts was one of them that was part of the amendment. Thank you very much. We also like to say that we support the amendments that were added. Yes, we have some concerns that this will become part of permitting. For instance, I'm the parade marshal for Festa, If I hadn't had my golf cart, I couldn't have run back and forth around the neighborhood. And I think Joe from Getaway Golf Carts said I have one of the first golf carts they ever sold in their business. So my golf cart is over 10 years old. I do not currently have brake lights or hand signals. I do have mirrors. So it's going to cost me about $350 to add those. But I think for the safety of my community and for the safety of my husband and I when we're on our golf cart, that we are willing to make that upgrade to our cart. And many golf carts that are sold now have all of those amenities, so it is not really an issue for new golf cart owners. We appreciate your consideration of this, and we do hope that Parks Department will hear us and allow us to be in city parks if they have roads. That would be important to all of us. I do take my golf cart to Tower Grove Park, which is a private entity, but it would be nice that golf carts are allowed in city parks that have roads. Thank you.
Can I ask just a follow-up question?
Sure.
So you indicated that you, to retrofit the brake lights and blinkers was going to be about $350. And is that just kind of a run-of-the-mill
It's for the equipment
cost?
and the installation.
Okay.
For running the wiring. And at first Matt Devotie and I spoke a lot about, the hand signals. That's what I currently use. I
Sure.
know how to use them. I know how to tell people I'm pulling over so they can pass me. I have knowledge of that, but at night you couldn't see that. So if I don't add the brake lights, all I have is the running lights. I'm not as safe at night as if I have brake lights at night. So I think adding those blinkers will also help when, it starts to get dark.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Next, we have Mr. Emmett Coleman in support.
Mr. Coleman, do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is true to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
All right, I'm Emmett Coleman from the mighty 10th Ward in the city of St. Louis. First of all, I want to thank Alderman Devotie for bringing this to our attention and providing this the outline or the meat of this bill. I know it's not complete. That's why I'm here to bring up some suggestions. Thank you for your commitment to having community events. Sometimes a little shy of hostile, but I appreciate you because we got.
I'm sorry, Mr. Coleman, we have to have you to speak into the mic.
Okay, sounds good. A little bit less than hostile, but I appreciate him coming to the community. As far as the amendments, I think that as far as the seatbelt requirements, I think that should be omitted because I don't think that any of us, and I could be wrong, but I don't think any of us are safety engineers, are professional seatbelt manufacturers. So to say that we need a seatbelt requirement would probably have to make sure that there's somebody that's an expert at, seatbelt safety. Other than that, there's been no crash studies done like, the automotive companies crash studies in order to, provide the best safety products for their vehicles. We haven't had that. So I think that's kind of a null and void point of having seatbelt requirements, at least right now. I also think that as a city and the board needs to consider speed limit reductions in most of our residential neighborhoods, especially streets that have, that are 2 lanes within our residential areas, because part of that bill says that it's prohibited to ride golf carts and any speed limits in excess of 25 miles an hour, which we know Arsenal, I believe, is one that's 30 miles an hour. Goodfellow, that my alderwoman, I see her driving down Goodfellow all the time, is 30 miles an hour. And so we need to reconsider what our speed limits. So I think we need to reduce our residential areas' speed limits for continued pedestrian and cyclist safety in the first place, and to not have issues with riding golf carts within our communities. I also believe that we should provide language just for consideration to prevent licensure requirements. I don't think that, and I would speak for a lot of other golf cart owners, if they're horsepower is less than a certain requirement, then we don't need to have license requirements as far as plates and registrations. And I think that needs to be put in writing to ensure that now or in the future, we won't be charged with personal property taxes on our low motorized vehicles.
That's your time. If you could just finish up your thought, please.
Okay, and then one last thing, I just thought about this as far as the public parks. We have other parks in our community, like O'Fallon Park. We have Fairgrounds Park, we have Tower Grove Park, and we have Forest Park that all have roads within their community. Center Park, or Center Park Drive, or whatever that street is that goes through Tower Grove is the safest way, I should say, that you can get from the south side to the north side of the park. We should consider amending that language to say that we cannot operate golf carts within walking paths or in pedestrian right-of-ways, and kind of solidify that language to eliminate not being able to drive on roads within parks. That's something to consider as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Coleman. Next, we have Ms. Jacqueline Gonzalez in support.
All right, Ms. Gonzalez, do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is true to the best of your ability?
Yes, I do.
All right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
I just have the three, pretty much everybody's covered everything. I'm worried about the park situation. I'm worried about the seatbelts because,
Ms. Gonzalez, could you please state your ward?
I'm in Ward 10.
Thank you.
And I'm worried about the seatbelt requirements just because how can you, I don't understand how like somebody can like put in a safe seatbelt for, well, when talking to someone that has built a golf cart before, they were saying that if a child was restrained in a seatbelt, that it might require a roll bar. So it probably is safer to not have a seatbelt if a child is on. I can see it. I don't see too many infants rolling around on a golf cart anyway. But it's safer for them to be able to get off the golf cart if it is in an accident than it is to be restrained in the golf cart, is what I've been told from someone that is a golf cart owner, like builds golf carts. So the parks, that, and then the personal property tax is what I was concerned with. So if those three things can be amended, that'd be great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez. Next, we have Ms. Gwen Cogshill in support.
My name is Gwendolyn Cogshill, and I'm from the Mighty 10th. And
do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is true to the best of your ability?
yes.
Right, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Mr. Aldridge, you don't have problems with golf carts. We have problem with go-karts, which run like 2,000 to 3,000, which I've seen police take them away because it's not allowed in our community to drive the go-karts. So we penalize for that. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that if we don't need a driver's license, I'll just give my 14-year-old, go buy a $2,200 golf cart and let her take herself to school since it's like 8 blocks away. She don't drive. She doesn't have a license. So, and then the other thing about the safety thing about the seat belt, the reason I'm here today is because I was coming down Kings Highway in front of Barnes Hospital. I saw a woman with a child in the front seat of a go-kart going north on Kings Highway. When she got to Washington, she had a little girl in the back seat. She looked like she was 3 years old, holding on to the bar. And I was like, oh my God, she's gonna fall off. You most definitely need a safety, anything that's moving. I've been going to Soulard Market since I was a little girl. I come out of Soulard, and you go to those little, it's a lot of little bars around there. So I'm coming down the street, and here comes somebody in a golf cart coming off the street and coming right in front of me. Now, if I would have hit him, what would happen? Because I almost hit him. And I'm just saying there's no regulations. It's a moving vehicle, so it should have all the things that a moving vehicles are. I just paid $3,000 for taxes on my vehicle, and I had to pay insurance, $300 a month on insurance. And that's because if I had to hit that man and he's not insured, then I have to insure. So I like to know, because Ms. Shamim Hubbard, Alderman Hubbard, told me that you had to insure the vehicle, the golf course. I didn't know that it was mandatory. So is it mandatory that they be insured? Also, if I see somebody like this crazy woman that was driving her kids to school at 8 o'clock in the morning on Kings Highway in this traffic, I don't have anything to trace her with, like a license plate or anything. I couldn't make a U-turn, but I swear to God, I was trying to look for something. So I think they need these precautions. And I think, when you talk about golf courts on the north side, on the south side, or go-karts on the north side, what's the difference? What is the difference? You take our golf courts away and tell them they can't drive them on the streets, they can't do this, that, and the other, but then you allow the golf carts to do. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Coxshaw. Next, we have online Mr. Adam Treaster.
All right, Mr. Treaster, do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is true to the best of your ability?
Yes, I do.
All right. If you could state your name and the ward that you live in, you have 3 minutes. Please proceed.
Thank you. I'm Adam Treaster. I'm a resident of the 5th Ward. I'd like to testify in support of the board bill. I do have concerns about the language of Amendment 2. I know it was already passed. If maybe there would be a future amendment on the floor. I understand the sponsor's concern for safety in restricting golf carts from busy high-speed roads such as Hampton and Kings Highway. These roads are generally already signed at 35 miles an hour. And additionally, in the amendment language, with the complexity of 2-lane 30-mile-an-hour streets versus the 4 lanes or more 30-mile-an-hour streets, I think that's the alderman from the 14th noted that it was kind of confusing, maybe would create some sort of educational problems. There's also a lot of other cases where, like Mackland or Holly Hills or Morganford, where they're mostly 2-lane streets, but here and there they become a 4-lane street. The consistency there for most of those streets is that they're all 30, but for certain blocks, they will change from 2 lanes to 4 lanes. So I believe that the vast majority of cart drivers are careful with where they drive and try to avoid major roads like Kings Highway, and changing the amendment number 2 to allow golf carts on all 30-mile-an-hour streets, and not having the sort of 2-lane, 4-lane cutoff is a more reasonable compromise. I did some research before coming to this hearing on speed limits around the city, and we also do a pretty terrible job in the city at actually signing streets with regular speed limit signs. There are sections of Grand where it's over a mile between speed limit signs. And if you're going north, you might think it's a 35, but if you're going south on the same section of road, you might think it's a 30 because we don't have enough speed limit signs regularly spaced. Thank you.
Mr. Treaster, are you still there?
He was done.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sure.
Next, we have Ms. Alderwoman Keys, who would like to speak.
Thank you, Chair Narayan and members of the committee. This bill, oops, I'm sorry, hang on. My camera just went out. What is it doing? Okay, there we are. So in terms of this bill, and Alderman Devotie and I have had many conversations, and I believe that there's still some work that needs to be done on this particular bill. as a golf cart owner, and probably maybe one other person in my ward actually has a golf cart. So again, like the alderman of the 14th ward stated, this is not necessarily, and Alderwoman Hubbard as well, this is not a problem in my community. Our problems are really ATVs and four-wheelers and things like that. And I think that that is probably a more contentious issue for communities north. I really would like to have seen this bill be one that is relegated to those areas, similarly to, how you would have a liquor moratorium. We know that, packaged liquor sales in some communities throughout our city are not an issue. But in northern communities, we were saturated. And so many of us felt the need, and the outcry of the community said that they really did not want to continue to have so many packaged liquor businesses. That being said, I really believe that this is something that is more of a, downtown issue, which I'm really surprised to hear the gentleman talk about the taxi cab commission, because apparently for him to have received tickets, there has to be, or that there should have been, some type of regulation in place for him to have received violation tickets for using his golf cart. In terms of as a person who uses a golf cart, and I'm using it in the capacity of serving my community, the same way I use my pickup truck. I'm in my community every day. On days that the weather is hospitable, or that I've made arrangements with someone in my community to ride along with me to see certain things. The golf cart is an amazing tool because they can jump right in and we can go. My pickup truck is a good sized pickup truck, difficult for a lot of times for people to climb up into. And so the other thing that I spoke with Alderman Devoti about is that with my golf cart, it would be very difficult for me to go downtown or participate to get to downtown, because almost every road that I need to cross is a major artery. And I have driven my golf cart on Kings Highway, Goodfellow, driven into U City. I've driven it downtown, Jefferson, Grand, Page, Delmar, you name it. I'm crisscrossing the city. And the issue of having it be street legal, I think that that is a very important part for golf cart users to understand that it is really for your safety, to have those lights in case darkness catches you, you can be easily seen. Having those turn signals, having a horn before I'm crossing into major thoroughfares, I'm always, even if I have the right of way, I'm still blowing that horn just to let people know, hey, I'm coming across here. Because it's the world we live in now, stop signs and stop lights instead of being the letter of the law that people respect. And so, not necessarily against this bill, not necessarily for it, but I have some real concerns, and I think that some refinement is still needed. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman Keys. Next, we have Alderwoman Cox Antwi.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. And good afternoon, members of the committee. Thank you all for your work so far on this legislation, and also thank you for Alderman Devoti for presenting it. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things that I think those that testified already said, as well as the written testimony that I know was submitted. For my ward, golf carts are a major issue. We do have a number of golf cart users, as well as a very dense area where having a golf cart is extremely beneficial. So I've been working very closely with a lot of my residents and also with the aldermen to understand this legislation and its impact for my community. And I just wanted to reiterate a couple things that were said. I do recognize that the spirit of this bill is extremely important to allow golf carts to first be permitted. St. Louis, I do agree with the alderman that is important given the number of members of our community that have expressed support for wanting golf carts to be a legally viable mode of transportation for our community. That said, I do think there are some aspects of this bill that are constraining for that purpose. I think that the requirement for seat belts is something that has been highlighted again and again this afternoon. That is just very difficult to actually actualize in terms of those that actually retrofit, repair, and implement golf carts. And then also the road limitation. I think there was an amendment proposed today in the committee for that. But just to highlight some things that were shared from my residents, we have many arterial roadways that are over 30 miles an hour that are also in residential areas. Thinking of major roadways in my community like Arsenal, Mississippi, where it would be essential to be able to cross a 30 to 35 mile per hour arterial just to complete your path on those roads. So for residents that are using their golf carts to go from one residential community to another residential community, that would make that extremely difficult. And so I think we need to be very strategic and thoughtful when we're looking at the mile per hour limitation, and also just looking at the cost implementation of some of the retrofitting that is described in this bill. I know that golf carts are very expensive commodity to be able to have. So adding more cost prohibition on users of golf carts is something that I think we just need to be very intentional of as we're adding requirements for safety onto golf carts. So again, I fully recognize the spirit of this legislation, but I just want us to be very intentional as we're thinking about what the requirements are and just the feasibility of those for our residents that do use golf carts every day.
Thank you.
That will be all.
Thank you.
And that's all the speakers?
Yes.
Okay. Did you have a question? Sure. Alderman Saunier.
Thank you. Alderman Devotie, I just wondered if you could speak to us about the permitting process that's in the bill as it relates to, I think it's in regards to special events, but if you could just elaborate on that part of the bill.
Absolutely. There is no permitting requirement with respect to this bill. So that was something that was brought up in town hall. It wasn't in the original bill, and I have not filed any amendment to require registration, a permitting process, review by any authority, licensure. That is not part of this bill as amended. It doesn't exist.
Okay, that's great. I definitely want to provide that clarity on the record because I think there was some misinformation that was spread, some concerns from folks that they might have to go through extra permissions to have these sorts of things at some of their events in the community. So thank you for providing that on the record.
Well, I think let's be clear. I think with respect to an event, that if you wouldn't otherwise be allowed to operate a golf cart, we would handle the use of golf cart. And I think the example I gave was in a parade, much as we would do the special event permit for that. And the example I gave was a parade that was recently in the Hill neighborhood. The idea that the parade route submitted by the organizer went the wrong way on 3 different streets. And that was part of the permitting process. It was allowed.
But there's nothing, you're not trying to add to the permitting processes or anything like that?
I am not trying to make this any more difficult than what the current process is.
Yeah, I think there was just some misinformation I think there was an understanding by someone that was false. I hope they're watching, but I'm going to clarify in the email for them that obviously events, we already need permits to do them. And so, this might be in there, but there's no extra permitting processes for golf carts within themselves.
Correct.
Okay.
Alderman Aldridge.
Just to follow up on that last conversation Alderman was saying, when you get a permit for a special event, is golf carts an option on the application, or
I don't believe it is.
So would this,
Although I admit, now there is a space on the permit for any special event where you can write in, this is what we need, this is what I want, this is beyond the boxes to check. And I think it would be handled just like that. We
Okay.
don't need to overcomplicate this.
not at all. And one thing, like I said, I know you did your due diligence when you do stuff, and you talk to departments. Have the permit department or special events been talked to about?
About how to handle it, I admit, I have not asked the permit department how specifically, would they be willing to add a box into, I have not done that.
Yeah, and I, two questions, and I'm definitely not nitpicking at you at all. Just trying to wrap my head a little bit more around it. Other thing, the parks. I know the parks support the amendment number. Is it 1?
I believe it's 1, yes, sir.
So would this exclude them also completely? So if there's an event in the park, would that also need like a special approval to have a golf cart in the park? Or would this just ban them? Because right now it says they wouldn't be able to operate in a public park.
Except as designated by the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry. That's correct, yes.
Okay, so if I'm getting if somebody's renting out a park for an event, they would need to specify now with the Parks Department that we also will be operating a golf cart.
That's the way I would handle it as part of the permitting process. That's right. I mean, I appreciate the fly specking of what ifs and how would we handle. I truly do. But I think something like that is no different than the one-off request that folks make every day in this city when they hold an event either in a public street or a park or another public right-of-way.
I'm just trying to functionally understand how that would work.
Functionally, the way it would work is you would pull a permit, you would complete the permit with your name and your information, the purpose of your event. There is a section where you indicate what instruments you need. Do I need parade barricades or trash cans or picnic tables or whatever that is? And then there's also a section when you can write in those special needs that aren't otherwise covered in the permitting process. Mechanically, I think that's exactly the way this would be handled. We need to have 2 golf carts around to pick up trash in Barra Park during the festa. And I think that's exactly the way it would be handled.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, I'm willing to maybe support this out. It would be good maybe just to get some from parks to say this will be part of our new process or our special events, or not necessarily get anything, but, how that would now be. If somebody is now renting a park in the 14th and they want to use a golf cart, I just want to know if that's something I need to say, hey, you may want to, since this is new, we're enacting new legislation, you may just want to, rules of change, let the Parks Department know that you also be having a golf cart, because I could tell you, like I said, golf carts aren't a big thing in my ward, so many folks may not be following it, and it is my role to educate them and inform them on policies, but we also, got speed humps and potholes and stuff, so be good to just know that process. And then last thing I will say.
And I will say before you move on,
Go ahead.
I know Mr. Hayes and Ms. Hegley are very well aware of this. Again, we spoke when we were drafting the amendment, but I do promise to speak with Mr. Hauser in the permitting department, the special events department.
I appreciate that, Alderman.
And make sure that that's taken care of.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Last thing I will say, and I mean, I voted for it on record. I'm not going to lie. I think one of your residents does give a little bit of, and I was just talking with you about this, I'll let you on record, a little bit of the confusion of Amendment 2 on some streets, which, well, let me ask, could you explain what Amendment 2 is trying to accomplish?
Yes, absolutely. So as originally written, the bill limited the operation of golf carts to streets with a speed limit of 25 miles per hour or less. It became very clear through various meetings with the group that what that did is that unduly limited where golf carts could be driven. Not just between neighborhoods, between the Hill and Dogtown, or whatever it might be, but also in some neighborhoods, within the neighborhoods themselves. So what we tried to do was strike a balance. The idea that a golf cart that is an open vehicle, that is unprotected, that is not crash-worthy, the recognition that they shouldn't be on arterial roads. I would hope we can all agree about that. But having said that, we do have certain roads of 30 miles per hour, not just that connect to our communities, but are within our communities. So the idea was, what would be the safe balance? And the balance that we struck was the idea of 30 miles per hour, but only divided twice, meaning we've got a lane going one way, we've got a lane going the other. I'm going to speak in my ward. A roadway that I know the alderman from the 4th is very familiar with, Hampton Avenue. Hampton is a great example of a roadway 30 miles per hour, okay? So I know that there was some criticism from folks that said we should permit golf carts on all roadways 30 miles per hour. Hampton speed limit is 30. In many parts of South City, throughout its entirety where it touches the 5th Ward, it is 5 lanes. It is 2 lanes going north, it's 2 lanes going south, and there's a turn lane. Hampton is a place that I see golf carts going. It is a major arterial in South St. Louis. And from a safety perspective, again, balancing the understanding that these are good devices. They can add to city living, but we have public safety concern. A roadway like Hampton, in my opinion, should be off limits. And that's where I'm concerned. I think you made mention, would you be agreeable to an amendment that said let's simplify it, all roadways of 30 miles per hour? Or the answer is no. I am not agreeable to that amendment. Studies show that I have seen in my practice that a pedestrian that is hit by a motor vehicle going 30 miles per hour has a 90% likelihood of dying. Now, that's a pedestrian. That's a pedestrian, and I give that to you. But my point is, an occupant of a golf cart is very much like a pedestrian. They are on the roadway, and they are essentially in something that is unprotected. There are no doors around them. There are no A-bars. There's no roof. We have just taken out of this the seatbelt requirement. These folks are basically open. And I cannot, in good conscience, on one hand say, I'm the guy that's putting this legislation forward, saying you can operate a golf cart in the city of St. Louis, and then putting people in the place where I say it's okay to do it, where if you're hit by a motor vehicle, you have a 90% chance or more of passing away. I'm not that guy. So if that's what it takes, that kind of amendment to get this over the floor, I'm not going there. I'm not going there. This bill can go down. I am not agreeable to it. And that's why. Because from a public safety, public policy, it's a bad decision in this guy's opinion.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I just wanted you to explain. It sounds like you're not amenable. I think, like I said, I think you make clear, especially Hampton's a different 30 miles per hour. I think your analogy on cars hitting the pedestrian on 30 miles per hour may be a little different than a golf cart. Golf carts also do have a hood or top, but I was just curious because as one of the speakers said, I know, if a 2-lane, which is 30, then opens up to a 4-lane, should that golf cart then just stop? And was there a way to make it clear for people to know where and where not to operate? So I think you made your point.
Thank you.
Did you have something, Alderwoman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to also add for the record, and so you can share the child safety piece of the seat belts, right, for the amendment. So
yes, Yeah, so let me be clear as well. The original bill file did have the requirements for seatbelts as well as usage by all people. So when we were talking at town halls, that was the requirement when we walked in here today. One of the things, as the Alderwoman pointed out, that we have amended is we have struck the requirement that a golf cart be fitted with a Type 1 or 2 assembly, either a lap or a 3-point harness, and also that all riders or occupants wear a properly fastened seatbelt. So yes. Now, what I added in its place, again, because I'm approaching this from a public safety perspective,
Absolutely.
and as an observer of watching children in my neighborhood and my ward both operate these things as well as occupy them. We did hear some testimony, I think, about that. Is that a child, someone who is not in a position to make their own call about whether I want to wear a seatbelt, needs to be in a child restraint system. If the Alderwoman is saying, Matt, what is that restraint system? We are using the definition that is contained in state law and state statute. So I'm not recreating it, simply saying, to the point that you have a child under the age of 16 that wears 40 pounds, the child restraint system would match that demanded for occupying a motor vehicle.
Thank you. I just wanted to make sure people were clear on that. I think some people might have missed that. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, does anyone have anything further? All right, well, Alderman, you're welcome to close on.
Well, let me just say all that I appreciate you listening today and the dialogue. I appreciate the back and forth, both this afternoon as well as leading up today. And I would request that this committee, the Public Safety Committee, vote Board Bill 62 as amended in this committee, out of this committee with the due pass regulation.
At this point, I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Been moved. Is there a second? All right. It's been moved by Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, seconded by Alderman Oldenburg. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Alderman Oldenburg.
Aye.
Alderwoman Clark Hubbard.
Aye.
Alderwoman Sanier.
Aye.
Alderwoman Velazquez.
Aye.
Vice Chair Aldrich.
Aye.
Chair Narayan.
Aye.
We have 6 aye votes.
All right, with that, we've sustained the motion and passed Board Bill number 62 as amended out of public safety with a due pass recommendation. We'll move on to, we've acknowledged the written testimony. Are there any announcements?
Thank you again. Why you didn't talk?
Hearing none, all members were present, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Previous roll.
Hearing no objection to previous roll, we stand adjourned.